in to bring progress and development to our great nation. Reflecting on the accomplishment of these 6 years, let me tell you that I am proud of what we've achieved. We have built roads, supported free wires and free tuition at high schools and public universities, and adhering to the rule of law. May God bless you all, and may God continue to bless the Republic of Liberia.
Those who hold the speech, inaugurations, everybody happy. We are rejoicing over the defeat of the old regime. We are rejoicing about our effort to bring a new regime. Then we'll say now with happiness. We go write paper for that 79-year-old man. He's talking to me. Then you go there. I will tell you that nation. I will tell US. I will bring 1.4 years. Because you think 1.4 years, Johnson. I will tell the woman of bringing. When you come to play.
When you elect a clown and you think that he will be a king, what he does is to convert the kingdom into a circus. This is what we must deal with, and this is what we must say. Who do we elect into our public offices? Because, as I said before, when you allow hyenas to take care of goats, why should you be surprised when the goats are eaten? This is the same. And Africa is only going to realize our potential in all areas when, by dint of choice, we enable and allow our best men and women to serve in different areas. I've heard it being said about Lee Kuan Yew in Singapore. I've heard it being said about Japan. I've heard it being said about other countries. But there was a conscious decision on the part of those individuals and the followership. We always talk about leaders, but we never talk about the followers. The followers must also style up. Africans, on average, are for some reason, attracted to thieves. Africans are, for some reason, attracted to men and women who cannot serve her. And when they are not served, then they complain. When Africans are told, choose you now whom we shall release, Jesus of Nazareth or Barabbas, they say, release Barabbas. And when Barabbas behaves like Barabbas, they say, why are you not behaving like Christ? It cannot be done.
Of 2001, signed a second of two executive orders, number 13213, Defense Exhibit D310, in which it was stated, and I quote, the government of Liberia's complicity in the RUF's illicit trade in diamonds and its other forms of support for the RUF are direct challenges to the United States foreign policy objectives in the region, as well as the rule-based international order that is critical to the peace and prosperity of the United States. Therefore, I find these actions by the government of Liberia contribute to the unusual and extraordinary threat to the foreign policy of the United States described in Executive Order 13194, with respect to which the President declared a national emergency. This executive order did not say the alleged complicity, it concluded the complicity. The conspiracy was born, all systems put into motion, and here I stand today. I never chance. This is the broader contextual matrix that regrettably did not and still has not seen the light of day in these proceedings, despite the gallant efforts by the defense to unearth and reveal the contextual framework behind the charges against me. Now, with the two executive orders, the dogs were let out, so to speak. What followed was a dispatch of the attack pack led by Lieutenant Colonel David Crane, Defense Intelligence, 30 years, prosecutor. He, Crane, unlawfully unsealed the court's sealed indictment towards handlers, senior U.S. government officials at the U.S. Embassy in Freetown, and was never held to account. The rest of the operational team are Colonel Brendan Hollis, Defense Intelligence, CIA, U.S. Air Force, Senior Trial Counsel, and now prosecutor. James C. Johnson, U.S. Army expert, 20 years on conventional and special operations, Chief of Prosecutions for the SCSL. Alan White, 30 years, Defense Intelligence, recalled from retirement to head up investigations, Special Court of Sierra Leone. Stephen J. Rapp came on board as chief prosecutor for a short time with experience from Capitol Hill, where he served with the U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee sometime before. It came as no surprise to me that as a reward of sorts for Stephen Rapp's diligence in the execution of U.S. foreign policy objectives through these ad hoc tribunals, he was appointed U.S. Ambassador at large for war crimes issues. In support of the contextual framework of politics, on February 8, 2006, Lieutenant Colonel David Crane, prosecutor, appeared before a U.S. Congress Subcommittee on Africa, Defense Exhibit D-404, and spelled out in clear terms the decision taken in support of regime change in Liberia and what needed to happen to solidify that process. There was little mention, if any, in his testimony about Sierra Leone. And here is what he said. I posted 5 years from now, when the international community is challenged by other crises, Taylor in Calabar, under the protection of Nigeria, will make his move. We will wake up one morning and watch on CNN as Taylor rides triumphantly down the main street in Monrovia to the executive mansion, daring all of us to come and get him. Unless he is handed over to the special court for Sierra Leone, this scenario is not out of the realm of possibilities. He then asked, how do we assure Liberia's future? And he answers that. Ultimately, he says, what we do about Taylor in the next several weeks will determine the fate of Liberia and the new administration of its president, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Crane then sets out several plans, two of which I'll state here. He said, first, hand Charles Taylor over to the special court for Sierra Leone for a fair trial, his kind of trial. This takes him out of local and regional dynamics that is West Africa. Second, tie any financial and political support to good governance in Liberia. Time does not permit, but the exhibits are present. Not even the Nigerian nation was spared from threats and intimidation, as explained by Femi Kayode, press secretary to President Obasanjo, the Nigerian head of state, who was with him in Washington when President George W. Bush promised, and I quote, to bring Nigeria to its knees if Taylor was not turned over to the special. And what happened? Obasanjo buckled and capitulated. Now, this demonstrates the significant pressure that was brought to bear on President Obasanjo, irrespective of his personal and leadership obligations to the West African sub-region. And therein lies the dilemma for current African heads of state and government, but how to enter into binding commitments and obligations with the African pairs and remain steadfast, resolute, and unyielding in their fidelity to those agreements in the face of such unrelenting and punishing pressure from powerful Western leaders.
I would not know if it's wrong, but one thing that I was not able to accomplish that I wanted to accomplish was after the war, the Liberian people elected me, and in fact, the Liberian people elected me to unite the country. I was not able to get some of the other factional leaders to return to Liberia. I was not able to get one or two of the political leaders to return. And I think they helped to provoke the situation. I was able to do, strangely, the LPC, these were all warring factions, and all of the other warring factions, I was able to bring them into government. In fact, most of the combatants that fought for the government during the war were the combatants of the warring factions that fought against me. So I accomplished bringing them together. I accomplished making sure that the issue of tribalism went away in Liberia. But I mean, to a great extent, I think most Liberians now, if you went to Liberia and took a poll, they would say Mr. Taylor did his best.
Any other regrets?
The second regret is that I was never able to get the United States to understand me. I was never able to get them to work with me, which is so essential for Liberia. No president of Liberia, no president can make it successfully unless he is online with Washington. Now, I'm not the type of guy that you can pick up a telephone and command. I don't think I didn't take that from Washington. Then, even if I were elected president, I would not take it. I'm not that kind. I'm not a coward. But I do believe that a good working relationship is essential for any president of Liberia, or that president will fail.
Where you at? Where you at? Working for your stomach. Stop slipping. Whip your hands, whip your hands, whip your hands, whip your. Come on, come on, come on. I'm just sleeping now. You gotta go some more, yeah? Okay, let's go. The people who us, the people lost us, the government betray us. So much. I said, the people who are so, the people that to us, the government betray us. They can lie, they can steal, they can lie. I said we tired with their lies, we tired with their promises that let us have damages. We tired with that speech they preach in thee, and now you need to deceive us. The thing we saw, it frustrates us. So why did you lie? Why did you steal? Why did you allow the citizens to be? We just tell you that why we voted you. But you fool us.
And that's why we are here counting the days.
Abuse us so.
Or making the days count, sorry.
Why? But the question that we ask.
We are here to make the day count. Instead of counting the days. And we do that with diligence. What's happening?
The people fool us so. The people lie to us. Government betray us. They can lie, they can steal, they can lie. No one to trust. My people don't want to hope on nobody. My hope that I have them hope on. Telling you, brother. So where are the schools? Where are the roads? Where are the jobs that they said who were poor? But they're too selfish. The people tired with their rhetoric. People tired. They tired. You see the reason why we ask why the government betray. They have enough for time, but yeah, them instead they delay. People suffer. No work, but people crying for hunger. Look at. Your vision and your mission, your intention to the nation. The people fool us. The people lie to us. The government betray us.
Yes, you know, it's good to have experienced people around you at the workplace.
The people fool us.
Thanks to the veteran. When they are Nimle. Oh yes, I was getting irritated now. I had to hear feedback in the headphone. Oh, it turns me off. But let me say a very, very pleasant good evening to all of you across the country. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to those of you in the diaspora, our friends, our followers, our critics, and even those of you who do not like the things we say and the way we say them. It's good to have all of you joining us tonight on the Thursday's edition of the show, and the last edition for this week. It's the 29th day of January, And we are in 2026. 2 days to go. 2 days to bid farewell to January. And welcome February, the month of love.
The people who are so, the people love to us.
So this whole conversation about the bread and butter issue is fast taking the war.
My people don't want to.
The debate in the country or across the country.
Telling you, brother. So where are the schools? Where are
I see people making fun or mocking at
too selfish? The people tired with them.
the statement made by Augustine Gaffron, finance minister.
Betrayed. They have
There is a trend that seems to be resurfacing, and you only see this
crying for
when the government officials lack the capacity to defend their lives and they resort into personal attacks
so nothing.
and insults.
Why?
To see the Minister of Information
Why? But are they question that we are?
at that level, sitting on a public platform and insulting his fellow colleagues only because they engage in using words. This is sheer laziness. It has got our attention, and we have to have a conversation around that. Pierre was the one who initiated insults in the public whenever he's responding to people who criticize or responding to critics. He is at it again. And for us, we'll play it before we respond to him or them.
I said we tired with their lies. We tired with their promises that let us
So what does Joe Barker think about the bread and butter issue of our country
they preach
compared to what Gaffron thinks or considers the bread and butter issue of our country?
frustrate us.
Play two separate callings back to back.
They should steal. Why they should allow their citizens to be?
The rescue guys seem to be confused over their own agenda. It comes to what they meant by top priorities.
Why? They want
1 minute Barker is telling us that agriculture is top priority of the arrest agenda. Another moment, Gaffron is telling us that road is top priority of the arrest agenda, leaving the people confused as to which one is the top priority of the arrest agenda. But we'll find all of that out just after this short break from our sponsor, Cramp Stop area. We will find everything or unpack everything. We've packed them already, and then we'll unpack them this break.
Hello. I want to talk about violence. More violence is indiscriminate. It can happen for any reason and to anyone. Until we do something to stop the surge of vigilante-side justice in this country, none of us will be safe. My Liberia is Liberia of hope. In my Liberia, it is possible. Violence is not part of my Liberia. Violence leads to property damage, injury, or even death, as we have seen in recent months in several parts of Liberia, including Monrovia. Talk to people in your community about violence. Stand up against mob justice. Be a community hero. Liberia is all that we have. We must all unite to uphold the rule of law. This is Old Man Sam Sion, your community crime fighting partner. Thanks for listening. This is Old Man Sam Sion.
we want peace in Liberia. Peace in Monrovia. We want peace in Liberia.
Thank you, Old Man Sam Sion. Thank you very much. Let's welcome those of you joining us tonight on the last edition of the show. Don't forget, tonight is Thursday, the last edition. So yes, what's on your mind segment returns to the show. So you will tell us what is on your mind, how did your day go, and what do you want to talk about? It's important. Yes. So, but let's welcome all of you joining us first, and then we can move into our discussion. Hilton Wulajedo is following the show tonight from Sano County. Abu Bakar Sharif has joined us. William W. Wulu is following the show tonight from Upper Caldwell. Venetius Junior Bar has joined us from Newcutan. Roland Tool is following the show from Battery Factory. Phoenicius Bar, Musa A. Sharif from New Georgia, Garnersville. Sadia Lasana Kane. It's been a while. Sadia, where have you been? Welcome back to the show. Emmanuel Vigne. Emmanuel J. Vigne is it Vigne or Vigna? I think it's it's Vigneye Vigne from Johnsonville. Tenia Kekula has also joined us tonight. Yeah. Tenia begging you, yeah. Tell them to sit. Tell them to sit. Papi Keita is following from Dupont Road. Abia Hine has joined us as well. Melu Fofana is following the show from 20th Street. City Gigs from Sasta in Grand Crew County. Junior Sequoia has joined us from New Community in Dixville. Samuel Kofi Woods Jr. We are 2029 show. He says, Mohammed Masakwe. How are you doing, brother? I'm following you from Freeport D14. I'm fine, Mohammed. Thanks for asking. Stephen Fowler Jr. Good evening, great man. I'm watching you from Garnersville Chicken Soup Factory. Saturday Zonwe Wunduwule is joining us tonight from Atlanta, Georgia. Sadia Kane, he says he's following from Vonjaman City in Lofa County, Henry Toll. Good evening, my Freedom FM family. I'm following you up from my residence in Cadwell. Thanks for the information to our country, Liberia. Ambassador Joel Ina Cooper II. I'm following from a Banzo Estate resident, Augustine T. Musa. He said, good one. Fazari Pikin Sherton. I'm watching live from my residence in Barnesville, Quebec. Yassa Sharif is watching. Stanley Sharif. I'm watching from Broadville City. Thanks for the update. Stanley Sharif. JMB Liberia is going down the drain. Okay. Stephen Fowler Jr. says, good evening, good man. I'm watching you from Gainesville Chicken Soup Factory. Andrew D. Williams. I'm watching from Pablan Road. Inform Liberia today is watching from Canada. Stanley Sharif. Is coming back. Anna Taylor. Hi, Austin. I'm watching from Michigan. That's in the U.S. Decati Do. I'm watching from you. I'm watching you from Newcutan, Colonial West. I think it meant Cornell West. Yeah, Cornell West. Mawata Belete. Good evening, Austin. K. Mohammed Masale. Good evening, Freedom FM. I'm watching from the Capital Bypass. Okay, welcome all of you. Okay. So this it does inform Liberian today is asking the questions, and I say, what's on your mind? And I want to read what this informed Liberian today is asking. So what is on mind in Liberia, in this Liberia? A serious question. And listen to his question, his or her question, because the page. If something very important happened in your life today and you needed help, real help, who could you people commenting? Who could you truly depend on between George Manuel Weah and Joseph Yeman Boaka? Who do you trust to show up? Who do you trust to show up when it matters? Some say leadership is about being close to the people. Others say it's about discipline, experience, and strong institutions. This is not about party loyalty. It's about trust, responsibility, and leadership. Then you say, we are. Oh, they may answer your own question. Okay. Lucky Fisu Howard, I'm following you from Cotton Tree in Lower Magibi County. Thank you for the great job. Mohammed Watson says, journalist Mohammed Fofi Watson Connor, I'm following from Greenville City, San Luis County. Welcome, good friend. Amra Jala Kamara, I'm following live from Brussels. Robert Thomas says, good man. Welcome all of you to the show tonight. It's good to have all of you joining. Last night, the show was interesting, but I left the show with heavy heart because of Madrid's defeat. But again, Jesse was there to console me, So Senator Edwin Melvin Snow has written a communication to his colleagues, which we have here over the 70,000 jobs. Over the 70,000 jobs. Also, Senator McGill has questioned the source of funding for the justice complex that is being talked about by Unity Party folks. And we're going to read some of these pieces on the show tonight. The legislature, both houses have already passed the Mineral Development Agreement of ArcelorMittal. Something we're going to talk about as well tonight on the show. What's in the agreement for the people? It's important you get to know, or you get reminded about what Mittal is offering the people, and all of that. And then yes, we want to have a conversation about this bread and butter issue. But tonight I want to ask on the what's on your mind portion. I want to ask you Liberians specific question about this bread and butter issue. Joe Barker and the Unity Party promised you bread and butter issue. They said they were going to solve the bread and butter problems or the bread and butter issues confronting our country or confronting your lives. Now the question is, what do you want? Are the bread and butter issues being solved by the country? Sincerely, do you believe that Joe Barker is solving the bread and butter issues? What do you consider, firstly, what do you consider the bread and butter issues? And then the next question is, are you pleased to say that Joe Barker is solving the bread and butter issue? These two questions will form our conversation on the What's on Your Mind segment of the show tonight, on the last edition of the show. What do you consider the bread and butter issues when Barker promised to solve the bread and butter issues? What went to your mind? What did you consider bread and butter issues? Do you think Joe Barker is solving the bread and butter issues? Are you pleased? Are you pleased to say that Joe Barker is solving the bread and butter issues? Let's talk about these issues. They're very important because the Minister of Finance has given you cheek. He said, okay, say you want royal, you want this. Okay. We just create one ministry and say Ministry of Bread and Butter Ministry. Say now why you want. Okay. Then there's a narrative we're going to play about this bread and butter issue after the call-in segment. But this is what the Minister McGill has said. And this is what Senator Edwin Snow has written to the plenary of the House of Representatives. Mr. McGill says, today we witnessed the groundbreaking of the Ministry of Justice complex by the President. While we welcome the important initiative, we are, however, concerned about the following. 1, who is funding the project? 2, if it is funded by the government, when was the USD 20 million approved, and has a contractor been approved? Where is the design? Or is the groundbreaking being conducted before the approval of the building budget and design? Is the project being implemented with 100% grant or donor funding that does not require legislative approval? He says, my concern is derived from two controversial projects. The procurement of the 285 yellow machines, Buluwala, and the USD 10 million FOIA project. Therefore, he says, on Tuesday, February 3rd, 2026, I will place a letter on the floor demanding the appearance of the Minister of Justice before the Senate to provide a detailed explanation of this project. Transparency and accountability must not be compromised. Now, the only thing I like to add to Minister McGill's decision to invite sector heads is that yes, the project, the intention to seek clarity and details about the project, especially funding, is important, is key. And all of us must support this initiative because, mind you, in the budget, the government of Liberia is saying today the government announced that the project will cost $20 million US dollars. But if you read the budget under the DI initiative, you will realize that the government is allotting a little over or close to $1 million for the project in a period of 3 years, 2026, 2027, and 2028. And within 3 years, it means the project, if the government is going to allot and is going to allocate and allot these monies within the period of 3 years, it means the government is going to spend less than $1 million within a period of 3 years. That's what the government says. That's a budget plan. So let me get this. Let me get this correct. Let me put this out. So, I just screenshot of this thing from the budget line. Where is it? Okay, I'll try to find that quickly and put that. So the government wants to spend within 3 years. That's their own budget plan. So we have to understand that because that's their intention. Their intention is to spend these monies within the period of 3 years on the project, and so we have to pull that out and be exact with the amount. Okay. HARDTA. Okay, hard talk. Okay, let me check my hard talk folder. Okay, so yeah, so this is it. So if you read under the PSRP project, we're talking on of the budget now. You see project name and everything, blah blah blah, fiscal year 2024, 25, 26, 27, 28, all of that. So the government is saying that under the PSRP project, you see PSRP land, sorry. You see the project, the different projects that the government intends to fund. In fact, it is captioned Government of Liberia funded projects. Government of Liberia funded projects. Now, let me zoom it. Under the Government of Liberia's funded project, you see here the renovation, and all the projects are coded. Okay, so you see the renovation and rehabilitation. You see renovation and rehabilitation. You see construction of justice complex. You see construction of modern prison facilities in Chismondbreg. Renovation and rehabilitation of prisons. Renovation of LMB barracks. Expansion and modernization of immigration services. Expansion and modernization of decentralization of the LDEA services. Expansion, modernization, and decentralization of LMPTA, K-Power Electricity Project, Kush Must Go Project, Revenue Enhancement Project, Rabat International Airport Upgrade, Regional Hub Support. Okay, these are all the projects that the government intends to sponsor for the period 2026 moving forward. Now, let's go to the construction of the justice complex. On a fiscal year 2025, We see $200,000 there. We passed that year, so we're talking 2026. Even though there was a proposed 2025 $200,000, but that money was not utilized, or it was not actualized being used, because you see the outturn year, you realize that it's 0,000. So I mean they didn't spend that money. So for fiscal year 2026, the government is saying they intend to spend $350,000 on the budget in 2026. That's what the government is saying. They intend to spend $350,000 for the period 2026. Let me zoom this good and bring it to you so you see it. So you see 2026. You see $350,000. So when you see the $350,000, the first you see $320,000 up. Right under the $320,000 for those of you watching, you see $350,000. That's somewhere around here. See, $350,000. That's for 2026. So if you scroll, you see 200,000, and then you see keep sure you see 200,000 moving. So let me get them. So $350,000 2026. That's what the government says she wants to spend, or she intends to spend. And then if you scroll to fiscal year 2027, the government says she will spend $160,000 $160,914. That's for fiscal year 2027. These are all projections, I must indicate, because this budget for fiscal year 2027 and 2028 have not yet been passed. So for 2027 and 2028, they are projections. For 2026, the approved amount is $350,000. So the government is projecting $160,914 to be spent in addition to the $350,000 on the justice project in 2027. And then they intend to spend $127,609 in 2028. These two figures, FY 2027, FY 28, these are all projected figures. The figures could increase next year, depending on our domestic revenue performance, and the amount could also reduce depending on our domestic. So I heard some people saying, talking to you, I heard people talking. Anyway, that one I'm aware to do that. Pia on the way to do. So Pia and Gavana on the way to do. So I'm going there. Yeah, I'm going there. So they will kind of explain now. But if you add the $350,000 to $160,000 to $127, you realize, yeah, we're doing math. Yeah, we can do math on the street. We can do calculation. So at 350,000, 160,000, $914 plus 127,609. So let's add this figure. Let's do some math here. Let's add these figures and see. Give you the aggregate that the government intends to spend. So first we say 300. Okay, so we say $350,000, $350,000 plus 160,914 plus 127,609. Total will give you $638,523. That's over $1 million, not even $250,000. So this is not even $250,000 million. So the government intends to spend a little, or we say, yeah, a little over $500,000. Everything around it. So yeah, government spending over $1 million, 600,000. So right. So the government spending a little over $500,000. But in this period of 3 years, that's what they intend to spend. And these projections are made based on the analysis of the revenue performance for the previous fiscal periods or the previous fiscal years. So it means the government intends to fund these projects, but based on the monies that have been the performance of the of our domestic revenue for the last 2-3 years, they say no. For the last 2-3 years, domestic revenues have not performed, so we can project 10 million, 5 million, 15 million to cover the projects, to cover this particular project. So that project within, considering the budget, the domestic revenue analysis that was done by the Ministry of Finance people or the technician, we allocate this. Now, when the government, one of the key messages that you need to carry tonight is, well, the reason why the government is proposing a little over 500,000 is because this is a government-funded project, and the government does not have the financial capacity to fund the project within the period of 3 years, depending on her revenue performance. That fact. If the government's revenue had performed, let's consider two options. Maybe one could be political reason, right? So the budget is a political instrument. Two, somebody could say, to be more critical, we could easily say, if this project was really a priority to the government, $20 million. Meaning the next government that is taking over should get ready to raise additional 19 million plus to complete this project that BRCA is starting, and it will be leaving unfinished. This one is going to be an unfinished project that the next government will have to complete. Okay? Depending on their revenue projection. That's it. So I was saying two reasons. One, technically, the budget cannot fund this project based on the performances of the previous budgets, previous revenue intake. So the government said, based on our previous revenue intake or the previous revenue performances, we cannot allot huge amounts. So you realize that the funds keep dropping, the allotment keep dropping, or the appropriation keep dropping. From 350,000 in 2026, next year the government intends to spend far less. More than 2 times less of the $350,000. Government said next year they will spend $160,000. The previous year, government is dropping the amount again on the project to $127,000. This is unambitious. An ambitious government that has been bragging about revenue surplus technically should not be reducing allotment or appropriation to a major project, infrastructure project like the Justice Complex. So from this technical standpoint, anybody should tell you the project is going to be an incomplete project and the next government is going to inherit the project. It turned in that, and we have to raise 19 million plus to complete the project. That is, if the government's projections stays at it is or reduces, it means if the government projection stays at it is, or if the government's projection reduces, it means the next government is going to have to raise 19 million plus to complete this project. Another liability already resting, waiting for the next government. But ask yourself, if the government if Joe BRCA really has the money, if the government has the money, this is BRCA. Don't forget, within the period of 2 years, or within the period of 3 years, this is Joe BRCA's first major groundbreaking ceremony. All the other projects that he's been completing or dedicating are all projects funded or started by Eddie or Joe Weir. This is Joe BRCA's first groundbreaking. And even at that, we're told that the history of this project can be traced way back at Samuel Doe, who secured the land. And I'm told he even broke ground, but could not commence the project. So Brakana, who worked in the government before of though, is aware of the history of this project and that land. That's why he's trying to start the project today. But the vision, this is a display of small visionness, I should say it like that. Because an ambitious president, an ambitious government who wants to achieve something significant would not be allotting small money. These guys have been bragging that the revenue has been performing. They have been reporting budget surplus. So a country that is reporting budget surplus should not be reducing or revenue allocations is supposed to be progressive. From the technical standpoint, revenue projection is supposed budget allocation is supposed to be progressive. The numbers are supposed to be progressive. Because when the numbers are progressive, it means your domestic revenue is obviously performing. And your priorities are being carefully, are being appropriately selected or chosen. So you want to ask, our revenue is performing, but we are investing less. As a country, we are spending less on infrastructure. We are spending more of our own money we're raising on recurring costs and spending less on infrastructure. So our own money that we're supposed to take to build roads or build public buildings, we are spending less. We are projecting less. We are decreasing or reducing the amount per year. Today we want to spend $600,000. Tomorrow we say we want to drop it to $160,000. The following year we say we want to drop it to $127,000. So I mean, we are spending less from domestic revenue. We are spending less or appropriating less on infrastructure. And sitting and waiting for international partners to come here and give us money to build our infrastructure. But we say we want to build a private sector. We say we want to build roads. We say we want to build our country. We want to improve and upgrade or enhance our infrastructure. But we do not have the political will to spend our own monies raised from domestic revenue on PSRP. So all these public sector investment program or projects we're talking about, the government has to spend her own money on these public sector investment projects. If we're not willing to spend on our own projects, it means we are not going anywhere soon. Because these monies that come from donors, either in grant or loans, they come in phases with benchmarks that we have to pass. That's why some of these donor projects are still languishing. They're not completed yet because there are benchmarks tied to the releasing of fundings for these projects. The best way to do so is to run to domestic revenues and spend our own money. Our own money, there'll be no benchmarks for ourselves. All we have to do pass through, do our projects within confines of the PPCC laws, the PFM law, and all of that. the IA process. So all these things. So internal audit process, the PPCC process, the PFM law. That's all we have to do. Be in compliance, and the funds will be available for us to fund these projects. And this is not unique to the UP, but the reason why we are calling out the UP because they presented themselves to be the angels. They said these are the things they were going to do. They said Joe Barker promised to raise domestic revenues and divert domestic revenue from reduce recurring costs and divert them to PSRP. That's what he promised. He said all these places in government, the places to government too far, government too big, all our money we're raising, we're spending them on recurring costs and all of that to buy gasoline, scratch car, vehicle, and maintain the vehicles and all of that, pin offices, buy chairs and furniture, all these kinds of things. We have to reduce this amount, and then divert the money we save from recurring expenses to PSRP. 2024, Braga has increased the wage. 2025, the wage increase according to CSA again. 2026, the wage is going to increase again because the government is employing more people, so the wage is going to increase. Obviously, recurring expenses are also going to increase, and there will be less for PSRP to invest in PSRP. You don't build your infrastructure like that on such a budget arrangement. So we're far from what Braga promised us, and we have to say that we are very far from what Braga promised us. If we are spending less than 2% of our budget on PSRP, and we're spending over 60% of our budget on recurring costs or recurring expenses, then what are we investing in? What are we spending our domestic revenue on? Nothing. The monies are going in the pockets of politicians and public officials. Because we pay their salaries, buy their vehicles, maintain their offices. We buy generators, fuel the generators, maintain the generators. I mean, just everything. Electricity. We give them gasoline coupons. We give them scratch cards. We give them stationery. We give them just everything they need in their offices. We give them everything. At the end of the day, there is nothing left for PSRP. So what we invest in the public sector will obviously be less, and what we invest in human pockets, in the politicians' pockets, will be far more. What do we invest in agriculture? Nothing. Even this justice project, they say, oh, why is it 20 million? Then you invest in 60,000, 600,000, 160,000 the next year, 127,000 the following years. Because the government is increasing her wage. She has to fund them, the wage bills. She has to fund it. Yes, the government will shut down. If you cannot buy stationery to run the offices, there will be no excuse why there's no stationery. If you cannot buy electronics or accessories to run the office, y'all go print your job data again. It will get stuck in the printer because the printer will be spoiled. I mean, the printer will spoil, or the printing current will go. The other sheet will get stuck in the printer. So you need to have these things functional. You need to have the offices functional. You need to have the vehicles running for these officials to move around, everything to go to work. You need to pay them and pay them on time. So recurring expenses will always be a priority for Joe Braga and his government, and not PSRP, not agriculture, not electricity, not health, not education. If you send 200 million to the education sector, 150 million of that money going into recurring expenses. What is left to even equip the schools? Nothing. So we just sit down here, government allotted 270 million to the education sector. Then everybody starts celebrating. Then we want to ask, so Gafan, you're talking about building roads that which we're going to go to? Look. Anyway, let me hold on small. Because I'm beginning highly disappointed in Gafan's IQ. The kind of narrative, the kind of argument he's pushing out there, they are not sound. They don't present sound economic reasoning for even an elementary student. On a serious note, but we'll get to him. We'll play his recording. You hear him on the bread and butter issue and an analogy he drew to represent bread and butter issue. So this is it with this project, and I agree with Minister Maggie. The only suggestion I will make to him tonight publicly, and I'm going to text him also after the show, is I don't think the Ministry of Justice should be the main entity, or the minister should be the main person, the key person coming. The minister did not preside over the design of the project, the costing of the project, procurement processes. No, the minister will have little to do with that. Because yes, it is the justice complex, but when it comes to funding or approving funding for government projects, obviously it has to do with the Ministry of Finance. So you should be inviting GAFAN to come and tell you why they're allotting less amount to a $20 million project. If the government is not ready for the project, don't break ground, don't spend money on the project and leave it unfinished for the next government. Leaving a $19 million liability on the government on the next government does not make any sense. That's not a sound economic decision. That's a waste. You have a $20 million project that you want to complete within a period of 3 years. And out of $20 million, you're spending $500,000 on the project. Just $500,000 out of $20 million, you're spending half within 3 years. Divert that money to another place, to somewhere else. Divert the money to somewhere else. Because it wouldn't make sense. Divide the money by 3. Then let's continue renting the Ministry of Justice, the Ministry of Justice, and other places. But $20 million within 3 years, the government is telling me she cannot raise that money to complete the justice complex, and she is going to spend $600,000+ on the project, less than $1 million on the project, and leaving $19 million+ as a deficit or as a liability to the next government. That does not make sense. That's not a sound economic decision. From the public financial management standpoint, that's waste, because it's not going to yield any result. The intention of spending the money, spending government money, is to get results. 1, you not complete the project. 2, that money cannot even cover the foundation for the project. $600,000 cannot even complete the foundation for that project. If we even include landscaping, all the kind of stuff, contractual funding, everything, you are only allotting $600,000 now. It cannot even complete foundation, because you have to pay the contractors. You have to pay the contractor, and obviously the contractor money to pay them will be more than $600,000. So what do you spend on foundation? What do you spend on fencing before you talk about completing the project or completing the foundation? So it means the government is going to spend nothing at the end of the day on that ground. It's going to be a total waste. I don't know I don't know who are those people on the waste. Look, you can make political decisions, but the political decision should be sound and in the interest of the people. You want to take $600,000+ and waste it because you will achieve nothing. Nothing you will achieve. Let's say we take this whole $600,000. You're not paying the contractors. The contractors agree. You will not pay us. You will not fee us. You will not transfer our equipment. We will do everything when it comes to mobilization, landscaping, design of the project, everything. We will do it. Government don't pay nothing. That is the government. Means the contractor gave 100% waiver. Even at that, if the contractor gave 100% waiver on everything, they will bring the equipment, they will bring they will do the landscaping, they will do everything. They waive everything. Yeah? Just to go and do foundation for that project is $600,000 will not cover the foundation. You know why? Because you have to buy materials. You have to transport the materials. You have to pay daily hires. Because the contractor already say, okay, we'll bring our company, our equipment, we'll do the project. Don't pay us. You have to pay the daily hires. You have to buy materials. You have to do the foundation. You have to do backfilling and complete the foundation. $600,000 cannot cover that cost. At the end of the day, within the period of 3 years, that's going to be a waste. A complete waste. You will not achieve anything. Because, mind you, government can target projects to completion. If you cannot complete a project within the range of your tenure, why start investing government money on it? $20 million is a minimum amount that this government should be able to afford to complete that project. You can say within the period of 3 years, you're only raising $600,000 for a $20 million project. What kind of financial decision is that? Financial reason is that? What is that? What kind of fiscal reason is that? You're supposed to be spending public resources to meet the desires of your citizens, to satisfy the needs of the government and the needs of the citizens. If the government thinks you can be spending money when you own something that you don't need. You are not supposed to spend money on something that you do not need, because if you need it, it means you're supposed to be able to raise the money to complete it. Then we satisfy your taste, your desire for that project. But a project that will not satisfy the desire and the taste of the government for an entire 6 years, then why waste money on it? When $600,000 can buy medical, can put medical supply in JFK and 2-3 other hospitals. Spread that money across all the hospitals, 100,000, all the referral hospitals, $100,000 medication or drugs. Do you know how much the quantity of drugs that 100,000 you put in the hospitals? Take that money, $600,000. Take that money and invest it into building a wood processor for a wood processor. That will go and buy your machines in China or Japan or somewhere. Bring the machines here, establish a mini factory that will process the wood and create furniture and build furnitures. You want to tell me that money can do it? Yes, that money can do it. You're not buying land. You're not buying land. All you have to do, go and get the land. You buying 900,000 yellow machines. So you not need equipment. So take the $600,000, go and buy equipment for to come here and open a mini or wood processing plant here. But that you'll be able to hire Liberians to work to create jobs. You create jobs. $600,000 can create a mini factory that will process wood in this country and ship them or export them. Because they're taking our log from here, our wood from here, and exporting them. Why can't we take money, $1 million or $600,000, buy the equipment, the machines, and bring the machines here, open a mini factory that can employ over 200, 300, or 500 persons, they process the wood right here, refine them right here, produce furniture here, and ship some of the woods refine to Europe and places and other places in Africa and Asia. And you make a lot of money. Just all of $600,000. Just out of $600,000, then taking that money and putting it in a project that will not even go 0.1%. That's how people are supposed to make financial decisions. Responsible governments. That's how they are supposed to make decisions. You can be spending public money as a waste. Be spending public monies, then they spend the decision. The monies are not benefiting the government. It's not going to benefit the citizens, because when you will not complete the foundation of that project, and then you will be ashamed to even include it in your State of the Nation address, or your turnover note to the new government, because you started a project that you could not complete. So how does it benefit the citizens? How does it benefit you, the government? Your own government will not benefit. Based on your projection, it means that desire will not be met. That desire to build a ministerial, a justice hub or a justice complex will not be met within 3 years according to your projection. So if a desire for something, your desire for something cannot be met through the funding of through your own money, using your own money to fund the project, you cannot meet your desire for that project. Why go for it? Why go for it? That's a waste. Divert the money to something else. And these guys are aware. They know how these machines are so cheap and affordable. Government to factory or government to government, state to state arrangement or government to factory. They made Vice President left from here and went China to negotiate for yellow machine. See how the cost dropped. So imagine you take $600,000+, go to China or Japan or somewhere in Western Europe and ask for these wood processor machines, the different designs and everything. Any kind of design you want in furniture making, they got them for affordable prices. Buy those machines and bring them here. They have people here that can operate those machines. You don't need to bring anybody here to train them. You have people here that can operate those machines. That manufacturer will be able to employ at least 400 to 500 human beings, Liberians, skilled workers who went to school, learn, they train, they acquire skill. All these carpenters around here, they have good skills. They don't have the machine to work with. They don't have the machines to work with. And you're sitting here allotting $600,000 to that cannot even complete a foundation for a justice project. And you're proud to announce that you're breaking ground today for a project that will not even see the completion of the foundation. That we will not even see the completion of the foundation. The money can do nothing on that project. So don't waste that money. You're going to waste that money. And these are the issues that Mr. Magio and the legislators should be discussing. These are the questions they should be asking them. And I personally am going to reach out to Senator Magio to communicate some of these concerns to him. Just scratch that whole thing on the budget. If the government is telling you based on their projections that they're going to spend $600,000 on a $20 million project within a period of 3 years, that's a waste. Let's divert the money. Our desire will not be met. That's the key thing. We spend public money to meet or satisfy our desire. The government desire will not be met. And the government desire is to build a justice complex. Within a space of 3 years, based on their projection, that desire will not be met. It means you're not supposed to spend money on it. It's because that desire will not be met, the servicemen will not move in the building. It means it's not going to ease their working condition. It's not going to provide relief for the fire service. It's not going to provide relief for the immigration. It's not going to provide relief for the LDA. It's not going to provide relief for the Justice Ministry. That desire will not be met. It will not be met. Also, the desire to stop the government from paying rent. The government desires to stop paying rent for immigration, for fire service, for LDEA, and for Justice Ministry will not be met because the building will not be completed. So that desire also will not be met. So that you spend $600,000, the immigration folks will still be squeezing themselves in the building of Mama Point. The Ministry of Justice will still be squeezing yourself and paying rent of Mama Point. The LDA will still be squeezing yourself and paying rent in Singapore and all of that. While you're spending $600,000 on a justice complex that will not even complete the foundation. It means all those desires will not be met. From the public financial management standpoint, that's a waste. The government should disengage that budget. They should disengage. And I don't know how come the Southern people pass the budget with $600,000 in the budget, and to the extent that even saying that my getting asking the kind of question because it's in the budget. It's in the budget, so I don't know. Apparently, our men did not read in its entirety the budget, and these are specific places our lawmakers are supposed to go when the budget is before them. Let's see the project. The first thing. What are the government-funded projects? Or what are going to be the government-funded projects? You go on PSRP. You will see it there. You will see it there. You go on PSRP, you will see all the projects that the government intends to fund or say or won't say. So at this stage, when we are asking where's the money coming from, where's the money coming from? I mean, that's baffling. But again, it's late for 2026. So even if we have to change that decision, we have to wait for a recast and authorize shifting. But grounds have been broken already. Even to the whole 600K, that waste. Complete waste. But these guys who get PhD and went to Harvard and work with World Bank, IMF, these are the guys making the kind of poor and malnourished public financial management decisions in government. Even a first semester public financial management student will not make the kind of decision that Gafan is making with this project. Just you're going to waste $600,000 on a project that will not meet your desire. That project will not meet any desire. It will not satisfy any desire. So why spend on it? Why spend on it? You will still be renting within the period of 3 years. According to your projection, you will still be renting. According to your projection, all those different institutions will still be in those poor working, poor and unconducive working environments. Even if you spend $600,000, you got two options. Like I said, you shift the money to other equipment, put that money on our Ministry of Agriculture or on the MVDC. Put that money on the MVDC or the Ministry of Agriculture or the Correction Bureau of Correction. Let them go and order equipment, wood processing equipment with different designs, and bring them here and hire skilled people who can operate the machines. Open your mini factory and start processing your own wood, producing furniture, and shipping some of those clean woods outside your country. By that, you make a lot of money. You make a lot of money. After 1 year, you'll be able to expand that factory, and at least you'll be able to build at least 5 of those factories across the country. 1 in the western region, 1 in central Liberia, 2 in the southeast, maybe 1 in the northwestern area. You establish 5 of those mini factories. Employ Liberians 300-400 at each factory. Because you're going to employ accountants, you're going to employ managers, you're going to employ skilled different workers in different departments. Imagine having 5 of those mini factories, wood processing plants across the country. 2 in the southeast, 1 in the western region, 1 in central Liberia, 1 in north central Liberia, maybe 1 in Moserado. And see what's going to happen. You employ Liberians. After 1 year, you maximize a lot. You make a lot of profit. You expand to other counties. At that point, the desire to increase employment will be met. So you meet a desire because you employ people. You even employ 100 at all the different factories. That 500 person you employ in 1 year. If you establish one. You even employ 100 person at the first factory. A desire will be met. You will have increased or added the number to your 70,000. You will tend to 71,000. And you're sitting here joking and wasting money around and talking about you building justice. I'm disappointed. When I heard the news first, I was excited. But now I'm disappointed looking at the budget and what is allotted and being projected for the next 2 years. What is allotted appropriated to 2026, and what is being projected for FY28, FY27, FY28. I'm disappointed. It means 29. It means you got 27, 28 projection. 29, there will be nothing. You be going to election. Who are those making these kinds of fiscal decisions? How to spend government money, and you waste that money, you achieve nothing. You come back to justify or intellectualize your sluggish decision. We can run the country like this. We can spend public monies in a kind of reckless and careless manner. Is there a lot of messing out with a big hay from Lofa, talking rubbish and justifying bread and butter issue when these are the real figures that are supposed to be putting, these are the real fiscal decisions that are supposed to be putting bread and butter on the settling the bread and butter issues. He's done talking about somebody who will pay $100 to go to Southeast, they pay 70, they pay $30 can put plenty butter on the people's table. What kind of economic reason is that? So I just made a suggestion to you. Compare my suggestion or my analogy to yours, you got fun, about settling the bread and butter issue. That's how people settle bread and butter issue. Bread and butter issue, it means create the opportunity that will put money that people will work and earn money. Earning money without work, that's not economics. Nowhere in the world, earning money without work, that economics. No. But government, let me play it, man. You're the man. Let me play the mayor here. Let me play the governor here. Y'all listen to your finance minister. Eh? The man say when you get the man say when you're supposed to on air. The man say when you're supposed to go to the side, you're paying 500 and now you're paying 300, you are able to save 200. That's you. That money can be that money you'll be able to buy plenty bread, plenty butter. That how you settle bread and butter issue. Yeah, that your economy so gafan. Now what can happen when you lack capacity and you are overrated? Then you run to the public with careless and reckless and weak and lazy economic reasoning to solve problems. And economists that cannot solve problems cannot be considered an economist. Economists are problem solvers. They are analysts. They're supposed to analyze and solve problems. You know what I mean? Y'all listen to him. I need to respect the man, but they can't continue not start talking now. They're getting serious. So Mita Steve, let's say congratulations to you, Acid Mita. Your 10 mineral agreement, mineral development agreement has been passed by the Senate. Pretty soon the government is supposed to get $200 million. That is if the president signs that into law. Mita will be releasing $200 million to the government, $5 million to the TD affected counties. That's Nimba, that's Bonk, and that's Grand Bassa. Liberia Water and Sewer Corporation will get $100,000 annually for the water that Mita will be using. And all of that, the Liberia Tourism, the Liberia National Tourism Authority will get money to pay to run their office and all of that. Scholarships will be available. So there are many things that are going to happen. Yeah, wait, I will play the command. Let me conclude with this. Let me conclude with this Mita thing. So I can say to you that we have a better agreement as I've been suggesting to all of us. Let's not fight Mita. You can see a company, you know the company is responsible. Does not mean the company is doing what they are supposed to do. But when the company is willing to sit on the table and negotiate, when the company is willing to sit on the table to talk to you, which do you prefer? B Martin told you no. Yeah, B Martin. They told you no, they cannot sit down to talk. If you don't want to extend their agreement, no problem. When that time reaches, they will leave. They will pull out. B Martin threatened to pull out of the country. That's how the government was quick to secretly ratify or extend that MDA. Yes, B Martin, they threatened to pull out. So okay, so we get 5 more years. After the 5 years, we'll pull out. B Martin has money, I will go. They don't even pay the amount of taxes they're supposed to be paying in royalty. Instead of increasing their royalty, we reduce that royalty from 4.5% to 3.2% royalty. We reduce it. Mita, we are increasing it. Even the mining license fee that Mita is supposed to be paying, this increase it to over $500,000. The only mineral company, the only MDA in the country that will be paying that amount for license fee will be Mita. When the whole country say no, that $150,000 you're supposed to pay, or that $250,000 you're supposed to pay, Mita say we'll pay $500,000 annually to renew our license. B Money say we won't pay rack. We don't pay rack. Mita came and said no, we're shipping all your oil to outside your country. You didn't even have a space to understand how the quantity after processing, the quantity that is there before valuing it. Because we want to be transparent, we will come here and build a processor here. We're in your country. And now we'll not bring the processor in Grand Bassa. We will not bring the processor in Bonk. We will not bring the processor in Maserado. We will build a processor right in Nima where we are extracting the oils from. We will build a processor here in Nima. So when we extract the oil from the ground, We put the oil right in the processor here. We clean it, we wash it. We take all the dirt from on it. Any other thing, because people used to laugh, say, oh, Mita still, they're not only iron ore, they take it from our country. Oh, Mita, they're not only iron ore, they're taking gold, they're taking diamond. Eh? So yeah, now the processor is here. The government people right here. No blockage. B Martin can allow LRA people to access that processor. I don't want telling you. Ask LRA people. B Martin can deny them access to that processor. They do not have access to that gold room. They got no access. Mita said no. That one is different. Anytime you want to come here, you're welcome. You only need to call and say we're coming. Maybe just all the cutters say for the company to prepare your welcome or you're coming. They say, okay, but you do not need invitation to come here. Come here anytime. Whether that Lens and Manzo, whether that LRA, anytime you want to come, whether that lawmaker, anytime you want to come here, come here. The old will man it over from here, we'll put it right here, you will see them, we'll process them right here, we'll wash them. If that true taking go from here, you will see the go and wash it. If we're taking diamond from here, you will see the diamond and wash it. Because we'll put the rack on the side, we'll put it that go there, true, you will see, we'll take it, we'll put it here. Diamond there, we'll take it, we'll put it here. Eh? That was the narrative. Oh, they're not only iron, oh, they're taking gold diamond. So they say we'll build processor right here, we'll man the ore and wash it right here in Nima. You will be there, you will see what thing we're taking from you. So when they wash the ore, then they put it in the train, the locomotive. But that you be able to see the real quantity of the ore that Mita is extracting from your country. You can value them on your own now. Because you've seen the quantity that you can value them. So nobody will complain again that Mita are not paying or are not declaring. We are listening to one senator from Nima the other day. He was saying how Mita have been honor declaring and blah, 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 all kind of things. So nobody will accuse them again of honor declaring their sales. Yeah? Nobody will accuse them again of honor declaring their sales. That's transparency. And corporate transparency is key. It's essentially key in the kind of operation that these companies do. Like Mita. It's essentially key. There was nothing compelling in the agreement that Mita should come here and build processor here. But they built it here. So when these kind of companies that thrive on or transparency and accountability, we can't be fighting them. We have to collaborate. We have to dialogue to enhance our relationship, especially our corporate relationship. Mita is the single highest employer of Liberians in this country, in the private sector. The biggest private sector employer in this country is Mita. The highest pay private sector employer in this country is Mita. The highest pay tax institution in this country from the private sector is Mita. When a football game, that team will carry all their war. If that football game, they will carry all their war. All they will carry. Everything the government proposed to Mita, she accepted all. After 1 year, we will hire one Liberian to occupy one of the top 4 positions. So within 1 year, they're in 2026. So from now to tomorrow, don't be surprised when Mita announce a Liberian as CFO or a CEO or something. You got that 4 positions: Chief Executive Officer, CEO, Chief Operating Officer, COF, Chief Financial Officer, and Chief Administrative Officer. Those 4 positions, top positions, Mita, within 2026, one Liberian will be announced. Mita will announce one Liberian. That's what we propose as a government, and they accept it. Within a period of 3 years, 2 years, I'm told Mita is all the top management positions, over 50% of the top management positions, managers' position will be occupied by Liberians. They agree. So imagine we have Fort Mita today. So when I see lawmakers fighting Mita, I'm like, what do we want as a country? When negotiation is part of corporate dealings, when dialogue is acceptable in corporate negotiations, then we say, no, we do not want to dialogue. We do not want to negotiate. We do not want to talk. We want to fight. We want to fight a company that has the highest Liberians employed in the highest Liberians in their number of Liberians in their employ. We want to fight a company that is the highest taxpayer in our country. The Mita has over 90% compliance rate to government's requests or demands. Over 90% in terms of compliance. We want this. They will say, let's talk. We want this. Let's talk. We now want this. Let's talk. You give all to them. So just imagine if we have fought Mita that some of the lawmakers were doing. And some of the government officials were even doing. Imagine we have fought them. And they pull out. Because the intention of some of those lawmakers, they were, one lawmaker publicly said, let Mita leave. Different company will come. Do you know why it took Mita to come here? You think Mita Jomo came here? Do you know the intense lobbying and conversation and negotiations and to some extent appeal that were done behind the scene to convince Mita to come here? And you think it's all about them extracting your own. It's not about them giving back to you. And we say to you, as time goes by, the agreement will be available for negotiation and for dialogue. Even outside the agreement, normally there are other dialogues that can be held, that can result into memorandum of understanding with the government, and then there can be a monetary mechanism put into place to supervise the implementation of those memorandum of understanding that could or may be reached outside the MDA. These are corporate practices all across the world. Liberia say, or some people in Liberia say, no, let's do it the electoral way. So we almost say thanks to Mita. We almost say thanks to Mita for availing herself to sit on the table to have a conversation with the government. And even those aggrieved, even those displeased, they were available and willing and determined and consistent in their willingness to engage with the government, to dialogue with the government, to negotiate with the government. Today we are at this point. So that's the thanks to you, Mita, and congratulations on your third MDA, and we hope that everything will go well. You will live within the confines of within the terms and conditions contained within the agreement. Now, you're listening to Gafan before we take course. You're listening to your erudite finance minister, Kwehi. Kwehi has this to say. Yeah, Gafan. Somebody used to tell me that you don't know Gafan. Gafan is an arrogant guy, but Gafan is growing, so he's pretending. When Gafan reaches the level that he thinks he is supposed to reach in terms of professional maturity, you see, he said Gafan real experience, real behavior, arrogance will come also. And we are beginning to see it. We're beginning to see it. Listen to him. Let me play from this side. I want the short one because Tom is not our friend. Okay, this one is 3 minutes, 15 seconds. I wanted the 1 minute. Okay, let me just play the 3 minutes, 15 seconds. Okay. You saw the other video where your Deputy Minister for Information Ministry telling civil servants if they participate in politics, he say telling civil servants, he says civil servants, to be a civil servant is not either you should choose to be a civil servant or a politician. If you want to be a politician, you should resign the job to go do politics. But he who is a politician against the code of conduct, and all the United Party executives that are violating the code of conduct, holding party positions, actively participating in politics, and holding government jobs, he's not telling them to resign. He's telling civil servants to resign if they want to be politicians. You see? But let's listen to Kafan.
How do you address the bread and butter issue? Rural connectivity is critical to the bread and butter question. I just gave you this ABC example.
ABC example.
ABC example. The ABC. Think about the road you heard last year that NTA buses were moving from here to Harper, right?
Listen, listen.
NTA buses moved from here to Vonjima. In the rainy season. The road, part of the road from here to Harper, paved, some have paved, but it's improved as a result. People used to spend 1 week sometimes passing through Africa. Do you know the cost of travel to the southeast? Time is money. If you are a contractor working for little wages and you're traveling to your parents in Maryland and you have to take 1 week, you know the cost to you? So the money now, because you can go in a day, the money you have saved, the money now because of lower MTA buses going there, the money you have saved, you know what you want to do with it? You want to buy bread
and butter.
What about bread? More bread and more butter. The connection between road.
Wait. Let's go back. Let's go back. Let's go back, eh? Oh, these people. Let's go back. Okay, come on, talk.
That road and bread and butter issue. So until we're saying that I don't want to be doing this thing. So until we buy bread, first of all, loaves of bread, and then butter, and then we establish a ministry of bread and butter. Then we're having a bread.
You see how sarcastic he sounds? And he's not just sounding sarcastic, but he sounds so ignorant and stupid. And you have other fools in the room, they are laughing at the rubbish that Kafan is vomiting. Kafan is sounding so arrogant. He sounds so ignorant and foolish. And you have other fools followers. I call them fools followers. You have other fools followers. Because all the fools in government, everything they say, those are the people there who cheer. Those are the individuals who are part of the cheering squad. Everything makes sense to them because they are fools followers. So they're there laughing. They're laughing and cheering Kafan, talking rubbish. And think he's making sense. They think he's making sense. This is the level of ignorance we have in our country. That people are not making sense. People are mocking other people. People are being so foolish in their analogy or their reasoning. This is the dullest economic reasoning that when it comes to bread and butter issue, addressing the bread and butter issue of the people. And they're still laughing. Kafan is not making sense, and they are laughing. You can see that the guys have ran out of idea. Kafan, what can sense like that? Yeah, the man is struggling to put a strong economic reasoning here. The analogy is not holding water, it's flawed. It's flawed. And I'm trying to find a word to describe how flawed his reasoning is. This is a flawed economic reasoning, Kafan. Now, I'll tell you why they will take cost. But let's play this again. We're talking about bread and butter issue and you're making fun.
You finance minister.
The bread goes. They're not getting right again. You know, that's why I still have this engagement. How do you address the bread and butter issue? Road connectivity is critical to the bread and butter question.
I agreed.
I just gave you this ABC example. And I'll repeat this.
I agree that road is critical or plays a critical role in addressing the bread and butter issue. I agreed 100% that road or the development or construction of roads plays a critical role or has a critical role to play in addressing the bread and butter issue. But this is the way he fell short. The reasoning did not hold water. He dislocated it and threw it in the Dew River and took the Dew River and pulled the river into his brain. So that Dew River reasoning, Gaffan is spewing out here now. Yeah, he's about to spew out the Dew River reasoning. Listen to him.
ABC.
This is like ABC example.
Think about the road. You heard last year that NTA buses were moving from here to Harper, right? NTA buses moved from here to Vonchima. In the rainy season, the road, part of the road from here to Harper paved, some have paved, but it's improved as a result. People used to spend 1 week sometimes passing through Africa. Do you know the cost of travel to this office?
It's expensive.
Time is money. If you are a contractor working for little wages and you're traveling to your parents in Maryland and you have to take 1 week, you know the cost to you? So the money now, because you can go in a day, the money you have saved, the money now, because of lower NTA buses going there, the money you have saved, you know what you're going to do with it? You're going to buy bread and butter. You're going to buy more bread and more butter. So you doubt the connection between road, hotel road, and bread and butter issue. So until, we're saying that I don't want to be doing this thing. So until we buy bread, physical loaves of bread.
Okay, let's end this thing now. This is Gaffan's best economic reasoning about addressing the bread and butter issue, or to justify that Liberia of Joe Barker is addressing the bread and butter issue. Gaffan says, let's assume his ABC reasoning, his ABC example. He said, let's assume that a contractor is working for daily wage. Daily wage means all the things when you're working for Austin and Khan Construction Company, for example, in the Southeast. And then maybe you came on vacation, go to visit your mom or your pa, or you're working in Austin and Khan Construction Company, and you have to go to the Southeast, Maryland, to visit your mom. And the NTA put the roll back. Interchangeably, the road is back. So but for now, NTA buses started going there. It means the road is better. So if you used to pay $1,000 as a daily wage earner, if you used to pay $1,000 to go to Maryland because the road was bad, and now you are paying $500 to go to Maryland, Gaffan's reasoning is that he has addressed the bread and butter issue from the balance left on your transportation fare. Gaffan's reasoning is that the amount you save, the $500 you save on your transportation fare, is supposed to represent the government addressing your bread and butter issue. Now, Gaffan there. Now, how many persons go to them? How many persons? How many daily hires go to Maryland or the Southeast to visit their parents. So, I mean, how many persons will save to settle that bread and butter issue? What kind of sense is that, Gafan? What kind of sense is that? So what's about the people that travel to the Western region that do not have to contend encounter barriers? What's about the people that are traveling between Nima and Mosi Ralo that do not have to encounter barrel? That you don't care about their own bread and butter issue. So Mosi Ralo, Bassa, Bong, Magibi, Nima, Lofa, they don't have bread and butter issue to address. So you take a situation in the Southeast and use it as an analysis to address or represent all the situations that are supposed to deal with the bread and butter issue in the country. The situation confronting people in the Southeast is different from the situation confronting people in a let me use income earners. The situation confronting income earners in the Southeast is different from the situation confronting income earners in the Northwest, and similar to the situation similar to the situation confronting income earners in the Western region and in Central Liberia. So that's why I said economically that analogy is flawed, fundamentally flawed. Because that makes situation can't apply to my situation in Moravia that don't have bread and butter on my table. That's the first thing. The second thing Gafan needs to understand is that when we say bread and butter, we say go buy physical bread and go buy physical butter. And take the butter, you open the bread or you slice the bread and put the butter inside, you give it to people to eat. Bread and butter is a representation of the job or the economic condition you created for people to work and earn decent wages. The decent wages they earn will be able to afford them to pay for goods and services that they desire, or goods and services that will meet their economic needs or their economic desires. That one people say the bread and butter issue. It means take money and give it to somebody. It means somebody will go, somebody will pay, somebody did it hire, go got that money, that $5,000. They're supposed to pay 1,000, but instead of paying 500, then the money they save, then it means that economic, or that it means that bread and butter issue address. No. And you have to stop that, Gavin. You have to start sounding like a comedian. You're sounding too much of a comedian these days. If you want to be the latest comedian in the country, just say it to us. We'll start calling you comedian Gafan. They see who can call Jose Dean, comedian Jose Dean. We'll start calling you comedian Gafan because you sound like a complete comedian in this analogy. Bread and butter issue. Our labor standards require, firstly, that Liberians, your citizens, first, you as the government, you should be able to create the conducive environment that will create jobs for people to be able to address their bread and butter issues. The bread and butter issue is not restricted to only food. It applies to education. It applies to health. I would say basic social services. You need medication. You need education. You need shelter. When you're in a hole, you gotta eat. So how come we want to reduce bread and butter issue to only food going in people's stomach? You need clothes. So when we are listing your economic needs, it means when we say you need something, it means things that you as a human being cannot go without. That's why I tell people, don't tell me, say, I need rest to survive. I don't need rest. It's not a need. I don't need rest to survive. But we all need food to survive. So when you're listing your needs, you get put rest there. From the economic standpoint, you put rest among your needs, I will stretch it out. You don't need rest. No Liberian needs rest. Yes, you want rest to eat, but there are alternative goods that can satisfy the same desire that rest will satisfy. So you don't need rest, but you need food. So bread and butter is just a representation of you, government, creating a conducive environment that Liberians or citizens will be able to get a decent job, get a decent wage. I mean, work and be paid and get decent wage to shoulder their basic responsibility. What are the basic responsibility? You need shelter. You can live without shelter. That's a need. You can live without clothes. You need to wear clothes. You can live without food. You need food to survive. That's a need. You can live without water. You need water to survive. You can live without medication. You need medication to survive. You can live without education. It's a need. In fact, it is a right. Well, that formal education, informal or skill, you need it to survive. So those are basic needs or essential needs. How do they get it? How do they meet their needs? You did about the first thing I said, how did he get the transportation? Did he beg for the transportation? Let's use Gafan's analogy. Gafan's analogy is that he's a daily hire. Is that a reliable job? No. Daily hire is not reliable. Maybe that 1 month job contract he get, or 2 months contract he has, or 3 months contract he has. How much is he being paid? Is a wage satisfactory? Is a wage within the requirements of our labor laws? These are questions that we're supposed to be answering. And Gafan talking about somebody supposed to pay $1,000 and they pay $500 and they balance money, they can buy plenty of bread, plenty of butter. You have those fools in the hall laughing like Gafan making sense. He was not making sense. He was not making any sense. He was being foolish. He was being foolish. He didn't make sense. He said you can buy plenty of bread and buy plenty of butter. Then they're sitting there laughing. But when you ask a decent question, just I don't know whether he was given a chance to do a follow-up, but that answer, the analogy disgrace Gafan and disgrace the government, it did not answer O'Neill's question. Essentially, it didn't essentially answer his question about addressing the bread and butter issue. And a minister of finance who is an economist, a development economist too, it's not supposed to be sounding like that. Like he does not understand what it means when they say addressing bread and butter issue. And you're talking about buying physical bread and butter. It can buy you plenty of bread and plenty of butter, and we need to open the Ministry of Bread and Butter. No. Create the environment. I just made reference to opening mini-five wood processor or processing plants across the country and see how many jobs you create. Create the jobs, pay them according to the requirements in the labor law. That daily wage. If you pay them, pay Liberians according to the minimum wage and see whether Liberians will start complaining about need get money to buy rest or need get money. Create the jobs and pay them according to the minimum wage. Then you address the bread and butter issue. Essentially, when we say the government has to address the bread and butter issue, we are referring to the government creating jobs, decent jobs for decent pay, that it create independence. Reliable jobs. Reliable jobs. That somebody can walk to a restaurant and can be able to work and get paid according to the according to the minimum wage bill. Yes, that person will be having a decent job. If you pay them to the minimum wage. That somebody can walk to a nightclub and get a job. That person is paid according to the decent wage. The minimum wage. That person has a decent job. That somebody can walk to a pool or the waterfall or a riverside anywhere and gets paid according to the minimum wage. That person has a job. That's why we set a minimum wage, because we want salary to be on par, in line with international standards. That anywhere you work, depending on your status or your qualification, you can get paid within that category. That's why we set a minimum wage. We are still paying people in this country below the minimum wage. That is an economic issue, or that is a bread and butter issue that Gafana need to address. How do we start paying people in line with our own minimum wage? How do we ensure that labor can go around enforce the minimum wage bill? That no Liberian in this country working will be paid below the minimum wage. That is part of addressing the bread and butter issue. Liberians have the desire to work. They have the energy to work. They have the determination to work. The government must create the environment for them to work, and you pay them according to the minimum wage. That is addressing the bread and butter issue. Addressing bread and butter issue does not mean divide rest or bring rest price down, or buy rest or buy bread and buy butter and put it inside. That's not how you address bread and butter issue. That's not the inclination of addressing bread and butter issue. And Gafan is supposed to know this. We are talking system here. We are talking policy here that are supposed to change the lives and the living conditions of the people. We are not talking physical presentation or distribution of food to Liberians. We are talking systems, creating a system, sustaining a system, implementing a system, following the laws that are on the books. That's how we address. And there's no job. Build on the roads around, reduce transportation fares, and there's no job. How do you address bread and butter issue, Gavin? Let's pave all the roads across the country and don't invest into agriculture and see what will the people produce. Build on the roads around the country. Connect all county capitals and don't invest in agriculture. Just sit down. Don't invest in agriculture. Pave all the roads, connect all the county capitals to pave road, and don't invest in agriculture. And let's see whether you see. Well, let's see whether you produce, you grow what you eat in your country. You will not grow what you eat in your country. Pave all the road and continue. Don't bring no factory here, and let the Chinese and the Germans and the Europeans keep logging exporting our log from this country. Yeah, pave all the roads and let the Chinese and the Europeans keep exporting our logs from the country. Don't create no employment opportunity, and see whether you will address the bread and butter issue. Pave all the roads and let all the companies that have minimal development agreements in this country ship all our iron ore. Don't create no processor here, no processing plant here. Don't create no refinery here, no gold refinery. Don't create no iron ore refinery in this. The bread and butter issue when all the roads are paved. That's why I said I agreed that the paving our roads, yes, paving road is an essential part of addressing the bread and butter issue, but it depends the factors associated with paving the road. What do you have in the Southeast? That if you pave all the roads and then Liberians bread and the bread and butter issue will be solved for Liberians. You pave all the roads? You will not need any daily hires again. How do you shift or redefine the skills to have them integrated into the work environment? When all the roads are paved, the need for daily hire will drop. Where do you resupply them? These are economic issues that Gafan is supposed to be talking about and supposed to be understanding. So we assume that we pave all the roads, we connect all county capitals. The demand for daily hires will drop. So Gafan will not be able to even use that daily hire example anymore, because the demand for daily hires drop. Why? Because we have paved all the roads, we have connected all county capitals. All of our major roads are paved. So after 5 years, what do you do with daily hires? How do you reintegrate them? How do you redefine them? How do you resupply them? How do you use them? How do you use them? So they become useless. There will be no need for them again. But we have to redefine their professional or career path to have them integrated into the job market. And this is a routine. It's going to be a routine because there will always be need for certain skills, and demand for certain skills will drop interchangeably, depending on your progress, depending on your growth. Now people need daily hire because we're building roads. There will come a time where all of our major roads will be connected. We will not need daily hires as the demand for daily hires will drop. What do we do with them who only depend on this daily hiring stuff to earn something to eat? Agriculture. What are we investing in agriculture? What are we investing in palm oil production? People manage our palm in the southeast and shipping them into Ivory Coast. They take it to Ivory Coast, refine them, produce a different type of oil. We go and buy the oil that is refined in Abidjan and import them to our country. Why can't we bring the same machine the people using to refine our oil and start manufacturing or refining our own palm oil and into alcohol oil and different oil and start shipping them? Ghana, over 90% of the Ghanaians eat. They are manufacturing them. Nigeria is not able. Nigeria, don't go there. I don't know. As I speak, I don't know what Nigeria is not producing. Maybe that ship and plane that I'm not researched on yet. But consumables, goods and services, Nigeria is producing everything, goods and services. Everything local. They didn't go begging. When they learn, they gain experience, they started importing the same machines to their countries and started manufacturing, started producing. We can do the same, but we lack the political will to do so. So we prefer allocating $600,000 towards $600,000 over a period of 3 years towards a project that costs $20 million that will never be completed. And we think we have made a sound economic decision. Baka is talking about establishing new ministries and agencies. But he said he was going to cut down the government. He's talking about establishing he just established a tourism authority. He's talking about establishing the Planning and Development Commission. How do we cut down cost? We are thinking about increasing recurrent expenses. We're not cutting down anything. So you tell your government, if he is not correct, the Boma Kamara then he resign. I don't want Liberians to get vexed. Listen to government, keep the recording your phone, and government say you want him to organize or establish the Ministry of Bread and Butter. You wait 2029, we're asking these questions. When he goes to your community in 2029 to campaign, you should ask him, Mr. Gafan, you said you were going to establish the Ministry of Bread and Butter. Have you established it? They will justify. They will account for their stewardship in 2029. And the economist like Gafan, who all of us admired, are respectful, will come to the public and interpret addressing bread and butter issue to me. To me, buying bread and buying butter. To include a daily hire paying $1,000 to go southeast, and because the road is better now, NTA going, so his 1,000 transportation has dropped to 500, so he has 500 to cater to other needs. Let's even agree the 500 that is left can cater to other needs. That's not how you address bread and butter issue. So me, Gafan is satisfied, he's complacent. He's not even thinking about creating an environment that will increase that man that daily hire wages. He's not concerned about how much even the daily hire makes. He said once the men are paying 4,000 and they make now pay 500 for transportation, he doesn't care about how much the man makes at the end of the month. That's what Gafan is saying. He's not concerned about the constraint that the daily hires are going through, or that Liberians of skilled and unskilled laborers are going through. He doesn't care. His issue is when we pay you 500 every month, when we pay you $100 every month, we pay you $100 every month. We face the rule to reduce transportation and keep paying you $100. That Gafan saying that's the economic reasoning. We'll keep you at that level as a daily hire. We'll keep you at that level as a store ball. We will keep you at that level as a keke rider. We will keep you at that level as a motorbike rider. Then we will face the rule to make the rule good. So if you keke rider was paying $100, and this is the stupidity about government. You only concern about one side of the chain, the economic, the value chain. One side. What about the side of the tested driver or commercial drivers that will be losing? Because if you face the rule, one side will benefit, one side will lose. The people that will benefit, if you're paying $1,000 to go to the southeast before, because the rule bar. Now the rule is fixed, people will be paying $500 to go. It means transportation drop. At who expense? At the expense of the commercial drivers. But they already set and plan their income, their expenditure within their income. It means they have to adjust because he paved the rule. So how do we accommodate them? We ostracize them from the society. They're not important, right? How do we? So you think you'll be addressing that bread and butter issue too? The man who is losing $500 on his transportation fare, the commercial driver that is losing $500. You think, how will you address this bread and butter issue? You pave the road from Broadview to Douala. We pay $100 in keke from Broadview to Douala. The transportation fare will drop because no traffic to $50, $60. That keke man will put maybe $1,000 every day. How do you address his bread and butter issue when his income has dropped? You have to look at it from both sides of the chain. Because one side is benefiting, another side should be benefiting. There should always be an equilibrium. One side can be benefiting, then the other side not benefiting, the other side losing. There's no balance here. That government has a responsibility there. You're talking about addressing economic, or bread and butter issue. So the keke man will go put there pack that keke. Because they didn't get the money again. How do you address the issues? When you run to the gasoline price and drop gasoline price, then you address that own issue too. Yeah, even though the price of transportation drop, we were charging 100, but now we're charging 50 because the road face. But the price of gasoline has dropped, so we're not buying gas at the same rate too. At the same rate now, then you have adjusted to accommodate those commercial drivers. This is the technically complex economic issues, macroeconomic issues that GAFA is supposed to be talking about and addressing, speaking as an economist. When you talk on the side, you can't talk on the side. Then you strike a balance or an equilibrium, then you make sense. Economically, you make sense. But when you choose to be political, you always sound like a fool. Let me just take 5 minutes to take calls and then we'll go home. 0776 104 104 0886 500 104. These are the numbers to call. Let's talk quickly. 30 seconds each. We can take it. If you reach 30 seconds, I'll cut you off and take another person. Let's take 6 calls and then we'll go home. This person is our first caller. Let's talk and go home. Good evening to you.
Yeah, good evening, Austin.
Let's hear you. 30 seconds.
Yeah, Chris, Marcus, one calling from New Jersey.
No.
Gafa know all I want. When you are getting cheap to win the Liberians, you are getting cheap, and he forgot to know that the planning and development for finance, he is responsible for the bread and butter. He's supposed to provide jobs for us. Then we will be able to address the bread and butter issue. So you were just insulting us. You knew what you were saying. You were giving Liberian chick.
You are being rude. Thank you very much. God's help. Go ahead.
Thank you, Austin.
30 seconds. Let's hear you.
Yes, my question here is Minister Kafwan an economist or an accountant? Because if he's an economist, then I assume that he must have done economics, development economics, and must know what it is to be talking about addressing the bread and butter issue of a country as Liberia is. I think he was just being sarcastic, giving rude talks to the people who made him to become finance minister, and that is not fair.
Thank you. I would have said the same that Mr. Kafwan was just being sarcastic. Had he not gone into had he not drawn the analysis or the analogy of the daily hire, That whole did they hire analogy now made it to look like Gafon was not being sarcastic. It was a mixture of sarcasm and wrong or bad or terrible economic reasoning. Hello?
Yeah, Austin, how you doing, my son?
I'm fine, Masisi. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the show. This is Masisi from Clarence to the public. No, I want to ask Kafwan, you think I want rule and American? Kafwan. This is Masisi. You think I want rule and American? 2023, I want you voting. You can all the say that the people in Liberia, they are suffering. You brought Brian today, you brought country, you brought Brian to entire suffering. Now you brought Brian for. And now you brought Brian to entire suffering. Cappy, and now you give me the pen for system of open bread factory and put water inside and open bread ministry. But for the man coming Kafwan, I put a read that day and see that day coming. And I put a read that day Kafwan. You will come. I will show that on your face, you know. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Next person, let's hear you.
Thank you. Austin, this is Edward Carr, and I remain a visually impaired.
30 seconds, let's go.
Yeah. You know, what is giving you the party hard time is that every time when they want to respond to opposition, they feel that it should be rude. But that response that he was giving, now you didn't even know that he was not going to come in. He was talking to the Liberia people, because come in still looking for bread. When you're talking about bread, they say you should go open bread factory or store to divide bread on people. But creating the every environment, what is the purchasing power? The data analysis here were given. 86 million people in this country. How many of them traveling in the southeast because they will have balance or change for transportation to survive money? That's a poor and raw analysis of the prevailing situation that he gave. And I know days to come, Kafwan will flip-flop again, funny blame, trying to apologize to the Liberian people in a different form. Watch it and see. That's Kafwan right there for you. Thank you.
Thank you. He not asking anyone the other day. See me was asking you to pray for him. Now he don't telling you more bring bread, more establish bread and butter ministry. You still can't call you again to go pray. Hello.
Hey, Austin, how you doing, bro?
I'm okay. 30 seconds. Let's hear you.
Opposition Monteter calling for counter.
Go ahead, Monteter. Let's hear you.
Yeah, Mr. Austin, I just want to tell you, the people that shame on them. They are 100% shame, the lack of war, they don't know what to say. Kafwan are going beating them. For 2029, we're getting ready for them. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you. Fifth caller, go ahead.
Yeah, hello?
Hello, 30 seconds. Let's hear you.
Yeah, don't put it in no more. Yeah, I give it. There's your hospital, but some stick. You're not up to date on operation. Not off the head. You come to me,
Okay. What happened in the other redemption?
yeah, I see you're not operation. You're not up to date. I want for you to head.
Okay. The deputy manager is here. He will talk to you after everything. Hello. Last caller, go ahead. Okay. Hello. Good evening to you. 30 seconds. Yeah, our last caller. Let's hear you.
Yeah. I can praise God on the last one. How are you, Austin Kaba?
God is good to us.
Okay, you know, I blame Kafwan, man. I blame we Liberian that voted for they probably call Pwaga. Because we're coming for Pwaga, we're not coming to put in power. Then we're not coming to be playing food all over, they fuck it all over. And because they want their press too, you want their press well, photo well, that will be going in Lambi, taking press eating. So I don't blame Kafwan. I mean, you better talk as well. So let's close the door, Kafwan. Let us continue going to the non-coming. We shop in there.
Thank you. Okay, Amanda Double, Sokia Zulu, Charles, Yanilo, Charles Dolo, something. Clady Allison, welcome. Thank you for following the show. District 16 Youth League, Alice Kekula, Jolo. It's good to have all of you tonight. It's good having all of you tonight. Tonight is the last edition of the show, and we shall be back here on Monday by God's grace. But until we see you on Monday, do have yourselves pleasant moments in your respective areas. I'm leaving you in the hands of the pre-wedding anniversary celebrant, Windia Nimle. My name is Austin Kawa. Baba.
The thing we saw, it frustrates us. So why does you lie? Why does you steal? Why does you allow the citizens to